So hello everybody and welcome to our first exploration of the galleries. I'm joined by our artist advisory board member and board member, Dannielle, who has made our first selection, and it focuses on the themes of the carnivalesque masks, costumes and artwork that's resonated with Dannielle. So I'm going to do a screen share now, and then we can have a look at some of the wonderful artworks. So this is the first one that we selected, Dannielle. If you'd like
Thank
to
you,
tell us
Laura.
what kind of drew it to you.
Thank you, Laura. Well, as you know, the outside in database is large. Fortunately, we've got lots of artists on our database, and that's great. So it is a bit of a big task to think about getting, mining it for things of interest. And so as an artist, I look to my own work to think, well, what are the themes or the words that come up when people look and talk about my artwork? And so I began by searching the database using those words, and I put in words like carnivalesque, twins, grotesque, and these are either the works that came up or by following those leads, works that I was led to from those. So I did go outside of the original words. I loved this piece. I love found objects and things that are put together. The old photograph, the beautiful stitching, the kind of old and new. It's all there. It's kind of quite dark. Like there's something really dark about it, but then that little necktie or the top of the blouse made it so beautiful and so pretty that it was always playing with me. It's kind of all these nails, but actually the kind of hard edged nails are put in such a beautiful formation that they're actually a pattern, which is beautiful. So I really like how it plays with me, and the registers of old, new, beautiful, ugly. So this piece was really enjoyable. I'm really pleased I saw this one, and the actual gallery of Rejectamento was very interesting as well. Really nice pieces.
It's interesting, like you say, the layers that you saw to it, and then the kind of physical layers it's got as well. I think that's really interesting, isn't it? Because I didn't notice for a while about the photograph element. I kind of saw the face, the skull, and like you say, the neckerchief, and then you're like, oh, it looks like this, and it made me go deeper into it as well. So like you say,
Yeah, it's
really
so
nice.
deep. Also, like the kind of the skull mask, you know, there, like what is it? It's all of those things. It's kind of life, death, hiding, showing, you know. It was just everything. And also I especially like the detail of the wire from the back of what would have been a frame as a detail. It's just showing you what's behind as part of the thing, and I think that was really very interesting, to see what's behind something. And I guess you can apply that to lots of things. Analogous to lots of things in life, to be shown what's behind something is always quite interesting. So yeah, I think a very clever artist, and really exciting piece.
Amazing. Well, it's made me want to see more. So shall we have a little look at some of the selections? We've got this
Oh,
one by Amy Bridget Ellison, the Glee Theatre.
well, it's lockdown, and what we all miss so much is just entertainment, I think, culture in general. And so when I saw this little piece, it's so simple and yet so delicately and beautifully put together, and it embodies everything that I think of when I think about entertainment and the theatre and going to a show. And I was so excited by it. I want to go to the theatre. I look at this and I can feel the joy inside of me that I feel when I'm in that environment. So I think, with beautiful, craftsmanship, excellent sewing skills, what they've managed to capture there is the spirit of entertainment somehow. What those lovely things are, the silk and the cushions and everything. I was very captivated by this piece, and I would love to go to the Glee Theatre, I think it is.
I think it's just the colours and the textures, isn't it? Like you say, you can almost smell the popcorn, I think, looking at it.
I think so, and just the little stitched words, tickets. And what does that one say? Back door, backstage, or stage door, stage door. That's it. And yeah, I mean, it's so cute. It's so unbelievably cute, and those little tiny stitches are just gorgeous. It's a beautiful piece.
Really lovely. And then this one's obviously a little bit bigger, a little different format, by Helen Mills, Two Women in Costume.
And again, it's the same theme you'll see coming up in my work, and things I like in other people's work. Just costume, wearing costume, how costume makes you feel. I like how kind of content these people are, and they've got and how the artist has showed difference in textures through the paintwork. And so there's a real happiness at being dressed up, and they are looking quite fabulous. And that's how everyone feels when they dress up. And I really miss that feeling. So I'm very drawn to this work because of that.
It sounds like you're creating a to-do list for when lockdown finishes with this, to be honest,
I
Danielle.
am. I am. I'm living through these paintings right now, though.
Yeah, totally. So then this beautiful piece by Kate McKenzie.
It's stunning. Really stunning. It's just so beautiful, all the little details. But when you look closer, the action that she's caught is really nice. The leisure, the work. I think it's like washing hair there and drinking and scrubbing the floor and the baby. And I think there's crabs in there somewhere and snails, if I remember correctly, and dogs and pots, and it's all together. And I think this is life, like this. In my own work again, this is resonating with my work. There's everything in there. People or animals become other people and shift, and it's all happening at the same time. And so I'm really drawn to other works where it's all happening simultaneously, and you get that real like general overall feeling of life. So yeah, I think they just captured it all here, and beautifully painted.
I think the colours are fascinating, and the kind of movement of the animals. It makes me think of all the references that the artist might be drawing on for kind of historic art in some ways.
Ah, yeah, and the kind of bowls as well, and the jugs. And yeah, the palette's great. I mean, the fact that it's all kept in keeping, and it's very sophisticated, the palette. And there's some division lines, but not really division lines. They kind of cracks in there, but
Yeah.
I like those.
I'm intrigued to know how many kind of composition run-throughs there might have been to get it, because it's so comprehensive, isn't it? And like you say, you feel like you've got sections, but also a whole of it. I can imagine it would take me a few more than a few drafts to get that right anyway.
I think it would be nice to see in real life as well because of the levels. I think to see how it's painted and see if there are different kind of textures in the paint, it's definitely something that makes me want to see it in real life. It has real appeal.
Then again, adding that to our list, seeing art in real life for when we can.
My wish list.
And this one, which I just think is really joyful, by Kate Pesker.
Well, that's it. It's just joyful, a happy, joyful face. And I just smiled when I saw it, and that's all you can ask for. That's what I want people to do when they come to my work. I want them to look at it and feel happiness. And I look at this work and I feel happiness. But actually, it's quite sophisticated in as much there's a lot of detail in the face, but it goes into the background as well. Like foreground and background are kind of acting in an interesting way together. Um, and I just think, yeah, it just brings joy, and that's a real achievement in an artwork, to just make someone feel pure joy.
Yeah, definitely. And then, I mean, this piece, obviously, so much detail and very different colour palettes to what you've done so far from Marta Divers.
The texture, I like that you can see underneath, whether it's accidental or on purpose, one doesn't care. It's that you can see those different registers, like it looks like some frottage or like some rubbing and then something drawn on top or printing, and there's some hint of something else. So I like all those layers working together, and also the kind of what's it called? And when you make an object like lifelike. I've forgotten that word.
Oh,
But the cross is, I guess you get a religious reference because you might think of Jesus, although I don't think you necessarily need that. It's still, it looks like to me a cross with a fabulous dress on in the sun. And I just really enjoyed that. So I liked all of the different marks that it's made, the different kind of energy in the marks, the fast mark making of the dress and the sun. I like that very much.
yeah, like you say, with the kind of ghost flowers that you can see here from either, like you said, something intentional or something that's been before, it makes me ask a lot of questions, I think.
There are traces of past ideas or past works that are, it's like life, isn't it? There's always traces and remnants of things in other things, and one thing always leads to another. And again, I explore those themes in my work, so I'm drawn to it in other people's work. So this one was a definite on the list.
I don't think I'm going to see it as anything other than a cross in a dress now that you've said that. And I, with all the themes that you've been talking about, I can very much see why Rachel Levine's piece here, Monkey's Uncle, would appeal.
It's so dark, but I think there's something so intriguing about that darkness. There's something so honest about it and so confrontational and brutal. It's a darkness that I think we all know, but we wish we didn't know. But it is part of life. And again, there is always darkness in my work, but I try and treat it lightly because it is there. Like, not everything is always roses and beautiful. There are darker passages to life, and I guess embracing those and understanding those is also a means of art making. And I think if I remember correctly, Rachel writes in her write-up that it takes a lot out of her to make these, and I really understand that because you give yourself to artwork, like you really pour yourself into it, and that there is an exhaustion when you really gave it your all. You are tired, your brain is frazzled. Emotionally, if you've given to it, you can be quite drained. So the fact that she touches on those things, it's something that's not as talked about. So I found that really really interesting, and again just visually beautiful colors and beautiful put together.
Yeah, I think it pulls together a lot of the themes that you've pulled out from other artworks, doesn't it, so far? So
Yeah, clowns and masks and faces. I don't think I'll ever get enough of those.
and then this one by John Bishop.
Gorgeous. I just like the feet. I really like the birds' feet. And when I saw that they're pheasants hanging, it's kind of dark, right? I think I'm attracted to dark things, but those little like pronged feet are wonderful. They say everything about being feet, planted in the earth. And yeah, and actually, I find them like I find the title quite dark, like pheasant hanging. But there's also something like two little blackbirds sitting on a wall, like a bit children's nursery rhyme like about them, which they're always a little bit menacing, aren't they? So
Yeah,
yeah, I can conjure a lot. This activates my imagination, and the kind of dark eyes, they masks. It's just really dark. I love it.
it's so interesting that you say about the storybooks, because like you say, the like baking blackbirds in a pie and all the rest of it, you
Yeah.
could see this with that kind of whimsical but dark.
My baby.
Yeah,
Oh, baby falls off the branch like woohoo!
let's sing about it, it's all fine.
I know what a beautiful song to sing to my baby. So yeah, there is always that kind of darkness in those nursery rhymes with the kind of sweet songs. So I'm getting that mixture here, which is I think what attracts me to it.
Definitely. And this, so grassland buffalo mask.
Isn't it wonderful? It's so wonderful.
It's so detailed.
Yeah, but also there's that what again I like, and I'm always going to reference my work because it was my way of going through this collection, was how I'm always trying to, and it can be difficult, so I know how difficult it is, to get different registers, to get the detail, but to get the casual mark, and to bring those things together. My approach to that is that it's like life, You get the things that are difficult and you get things that are easy. Some things are finely rendered and other things are thrown together, and that's my reason to put those marks together. But I understand technically how difficult it can be to do sometimes, to do well. And so I think it's really well achieved here, and the faces and the bodies, and then you see little monkeys, and then you see the people are connected. Is it a costume? And they've got these big heads on, and it's just wonderful, really nice. And I wonder how big it is. I don't know if it's said on the website. I really like this piece.
That's the thing, isn't it? Because I was thinking that with the piece we were talking about when you had the animals and the kind of everyday scenes of the washing hair and things. If you went into an exhibition, you could see it being this big, but you could also see those humans being the same size as you, the viewer. And I think that's something really interesting when, looking online makes everything fit on your screen.
Yeah.
You kind of have to interpret it in a more focused way because of that.
Yeah, we've lost that. I think through the digital world, or living through digital stuff, we've lost the sense of scale, um, which can be very important. In my head, how do I imagine this? I imagine it's quite big, actually. I mean, I'd be surprised if I saw it and it's small.
Mm.
I actually think it's quite large. But yeah, and the repetition as well, I think is important. How the same thing can happen, similar but different every time. So as a concept, I find that very interesting. I'm really drawn to that. So yes, then there's other pieces in this collection I remember that are just incredible.
I think that, like you say, it's that repetition, but handling it in a different way that's fascinating, with this one mask that is facing a different direction at the top, and then the one monkey when everything else is kind of a repeat.
Yeah, the monkey standing alone.
Yeah.
So it becomes almost more significant, doesn't it, when one thing jumps out at you and the others are repeated. And I love that. Is it a shadow? Is it a blob? That I love that. That's behind the monkey.
Yeah, it's also that element. It could almost be like a scorch mark, couldn't it? A burn or something like
Yeah.
that to the piece. But yeah, it definitely makes you look at it really closely, and just I think I've discovered something new each time I've looked at it, to be honest.
Yes, it's lovely, and also the kind of the very, very, very faint. I'm gonna guess it's spray paint,
Mm.
but or they've got a spray gun and then they've blotted it. But yeah, and a little. But the people inside the costumes as well, they're nice. Yeah, you can keep looking at this and keep seeing. I can sit here.
Totally. And then this, I mean, I can almost imagine you seeing this for the first time. We've got the feet,
I
we've
would
kind of
want
got the
it.
mask and animals and the very much the darkness about it. So this is The Fool, great title as well, I think, by Charlotte Lane.
It's lovely, isn't it? And you know what I think so beautiful about it is, yes, it's put together very nicely. Um, and but it's quite dark and beautiful at the same time. That eye is so menacing, just, and it has this kind of beetleness about it, and yet all this encrusted, so it's really decadent. And the stag's heads, or the heads, sorry, the what are they called? The bones at the top. They're quite
Kind of the antlers.
antlers. That's the word. They are, yeah, I mean, they're really beautiful, and I wonder how big this one is too. I think it's quite small in my head, and the lovely carved feet, and they're on a plaque. Yeah, again, so you'll see, I think there's a theme. I'm drawn to differences brought together.
Mm.
That ink jet black encrustedness against those very bare wooden carved feet with the plasticky or glass eye, and then the antlers. I like those registers coming together in one piece and jumping between beautiful and scary.
No, it is really, it kind of makes you think of where you would see it. You kind of imagine going into the most eccentric house and it just being casually put on the mantelpiece or something, how you might find it in the real world.
Uh-huh, yeah, yeah, and that's it, again, it's that thing that you face of seeing things online, and there's a in real life experience that we're not having, but I guess we get to imagine that.
Yeah.
So we're looking at it here, it could be quite small and be used to hang, your necklaces on, or it could be massive, and you could look up at it. And yeah, we have to imagine ourselves in a space with that. So it's good for the imagination.
Very much. I like the idea of hanging my jewelry on it, but I don't know how I would feel waking up in it being on my bedside table, I have to admit.
Yeah, maybe.
So it sounds like you had great fun kind of having a delve through all the galleries then.
It was really nice. I was on there for quite some time. And actually, yeah, I really did find using, I found a way through it, I think. And I think for people looking through the gallery, I think just finding your own way through with your own interests is actually a really great way to start. And of course, you go down little, you go off piste and you find other little gems. So it really was a nice way to get myself into it. And yeah, tons of artwork. I wish I had a massive house that I could hang them all up. I would hang some of them there, or hang my jewelry on them.
Completely. And it's so nice to look at things in different contexts, but also look forward to looking at them in the context we're used to as well, when we can get back to exhibitions, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely, and yeah, seeing them in context, and that would at least is something to look forward to.
And something to be inspired by in the meantime, hopefully. So
That's right. And so just a big thank you to the artists who made the work for making such lovely work and uploading it and sharing it with us.
no, and
Yeah,
thank you for your kind of insight, because it's nice to explore the galleries with kind of a tour guide really of what you've been able to find. So it's been really enjoyable. Thank you for sharing it with us.
you're welcome.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Danielle.